a lot of the times, let's say, for example, we try to build conversation in little minor steps. For example, we might say, ask the woman, are you hungry? And then she says, yes. And then you might say, where do you want to eat? Then you say, where do you want to eat? But you can sometimes just skip a step. Just say, where do you want to eat today? You don't have to say, are you hungry? Are we planning on eating together? Well, where do you want to eat? You can just, from the get-go, where do you want to eat today? Like, you're doing your own thing. I hope that makes sense. And this can also apply to texting. Like, sometimes, like, we can accidentally get like texting in a direction that we don't like, and we know that it's not going to go in a good direction. We know that conversation is going to fizzle out. Sometimes you can just leave that. If she says something in response and you just don't even want to respond to that, just start a new conversation, and leave that conversation in the past. And this can also happen when you accidentally get like 3 or 4 text conversations going at the same time. Like, I don't know if you've ever done that, where like you're talking with the woman and you end up talking about like 2 or 3 or 4 things at the same time. If you have confidence, you can know, okay, now it's time to drop 3 of these conversations and let one of them take like priority over the other ones. So for example, let's say you got like a couple topics going at once. Where did you go to school? What do your parents do for work? And then you're talking about your favorite ice cream or something like that, and you got 3 text conversations going with the same girl. You can sometimes drop 2 of them and just go for the one that you want to talk about. So it's like you got to have this ability to be independent, in like just it's not necessarily that you have to actually do this in action, but it's a mindset. Like, you have to feel free. Like, you can talk what you want to say. Like, let's say, even if the woman says, so where are you from? And let's say you don't even have to answer that. Just say, how old are you? Or like whatever. Like, you can come back with your own statement. And like I'm saying, it's not that you have to do this. It's just you got to understand, like, women like men who are confident enough to be independent and go their own route. So sometimes you got to just say what you want to say, even if the situation isn't flowing in that direction. Like, to be able to break rapport, I think is what the term is. Yes, sometimes you just got to be able to like break direction, like to break the rapport. What up, YouTube? In this video, I want to give a tip. And it's not necessarily that you have to do what I'm saying in this tip, but to understand what I'm about to say as a mindset is pretty important. So what I want to talk about today is it's a tip regarding conversation with women, and it's a little bit hard to articulate, but I'm going to give it my best shot. So it's basically like, that when you're talking with a woman, if you want to look more in control and confident, you have to be able to speak independently of her. And I'll try to explain what I mean by this. So, just a second, I'm crossing the street real quick. Second. Okay, gotta be safe here. But what I mean by this is that a lot of the time, as when we are conversing with a woman, we get a little bit nervous. So we feel like we have to kind of stay on track and respond to everything she says directly. But last night I was watching this, the movie, I don't know if you've ever seen it, Taxi Driver. But Travis, I really recommend you watch that movie, because you'll see the main character, Travis, he goes out on the date with the woman, Betsy. And if you watch how he speaks, he looks so in control. What he'll do is he can say something, but then he has no problem like switching the direction of the conversation after she gets going in one direction. So for example, he says something like, where are you from? And then she starts to answer, and then he just looks at her He's like, you know, you have really pretty eyes. So you see, like, he got her talking in one direction. He got her talking in one direction, about to say where she's from, and she started to answer, but he had no problem, you know, changing the conversation. He had no problem just going independent of the flow and saying, oh, you know, you got really pretty eyes. And like you can watch him in this scene on the date where he does this multiple times. And like it shows confidence, like if you can, you know, answer things almost indirectly, like you can go on your own flow, kind of independent of her. And this can also happen in ways where like you can kind of jump steps. You know, a lot of people will be like for example,